Hello, everybody. Welcome to Championship Matchweek 23. We are now past Christmas, and we are now on the halfway point of the season. The table's shaping up. Teams are where they deserve to be right now, and let's continue with this festive period. So last week, just a quick recap on our score. Liam, how many points did you get?
I had a little bit of a stinker after a good few weeks dominating. I only scored six.
Yes, this is the first time in about a month I have won. I have got 9 points, so the gap now increases to 10. And now, shall we get on to this week's fixtures? Liam, you can start first with Birmingham versus Derby.
Yeah, good way to kick off the Boxing Day fixtures. Lunchtime kickoff at St Andrews. You would expect a good amount of goals in this game. I really don't know which way this could go because Birmingham's strong at home, Derby's strong away. Um, so I'm just gonna take the Wuss's way out and say 1-1 draw.
Yeah, last time around, a pretty forgettable display for Birmingham. Derby, they drew against Portsmouth, also a pretty bad result for Derby's perspective. So both teams will feel a sense of trying to get back on track here. This is at St Andrews, and I think Birmingham will slightly edge this one, 2 goals to 1. Alright, and now on to Millwall versus Ipswich. Ipswich last time around won, Millwall last time around lost, and this is at the Den. It's quite tough to call this, but I think Ipswich will continue their momentum. 0-1.
Yeah, Millwall I think is starting to drop off at home at the moment, not in a very nice place. In fact, their form overall has been a bit sticky of late. Yeah, Ipswich on the other hand, complete opposite. Rising up, I think they're what third now. Very good looking goal difference. So I think they will continue to charge for their top two spot, and I will back them to win 3-1 at 1 o'clock.
Okay, and now on to Coventry v Swansea.
Well, this could be a high scoring game in favour of one team. Um, I did initially think 3-0, something like that, but then I thought I'd give Swansea the benefit of the doubt because then they're improving slowly under their new manager. So I do have them to lose, but I don't have it to be a wide open defeat. I have a 2-1 Coventry win.
Yep, obviously Coventry drew last time around and Swansea won. Um, but it's hard to predict Coventry dropping points at the moment. Obviously, Swansea are still down there in the table, but are starting to pull away from the drop zone now. Uh, and there could be signs of a good run, but uh, away to a Coventry side, I feel like this would go Coventry's way. I've gone Coventry 3, Swansea 1. Now on to Leicester versus Watford. Leicester, their last performance, I think the less you talk about, the better, to be honest. It was absolutely abysmal. Watford, last time around, won against Stoke. Um, Now at the King Power, I feel like this would be a kind of game that would be a draw. I predict 1-1.
It's a tough one because we all know Watford's away form. Um, Leicester, I still don't think they're that good at home. However, I do think this will be a brilliant time to bounce back. 4-0 down at half time, a very lucky goal to prevent QPR from keeping a clean sheet. Um, but I think the clean sheet will fall in favour of them, and I will go a plucky 2-0 victory.
Yep, and now on to Middlesbrough versus Blackburn.
Another side who needs to bounce back, Middlesbrough. They could be in big danger if results don't go their way over the next couple of days. Um, I think it's just going to be more of a stumble on Boxing Day. Um, I'm going to say 1-1.
Yeah, I mean, Middlesbrough last time around, pretty poor defeat. Blackburn continue to climb with a win, bouncing back, and also pulling away from the bottom four. Um, but I think because of this being at the Riverside, I think I will give a slight edge. I think Middlesbrough are the masters of winning by 1 goal, and I think this will show why. Middlesbrough 2, Blackburn 1. And now on to Norwich versus Charlton, two teams that are down there. Charlton, they won last time around against Oxford, pulling away from the bottom four. Um, and they're up against the Norwich side, who it was so frustrating for them because once again another late goal prevented them from getting all 3 points at Deepdale. And from a Norwich perspective, I think your stomach must be churning because of all the points that have been lost late on. It could really cost them this season. Uh, but this is a decent chance for Norwich to get something here. Do I give them a win? I'm sorry, Norwich fans, but I think it'll be more frustration here. 1-1.
Yeah, that is a sign of a team who are in deep, deep trouble. If you can't hold on to results or your lead or your point, um, so it's looking so much more bleak for Norwich every single week. Charlton is that was a big win against Oxford, and I'm a bit annoyed because I was going to back a Charlton win, and then I read the history between the two clubs, and then that swayed me towards Oxford. So thanks, Flash Score, much appreciated. Um, I I think this will be an important, a huge 1-0 win for Norwich.
I think Norwich definitely need it. Yes. And now, shall we move on to Oxford versus Southampton? Now, the question I've got to ask you is about Gary Rowett. So, what do you think of the sacking?
Well, at the time of recording, we woke up to the news that Oxford United have sacked Gary Rowett. Now, for me, if you sack a manager like Rowett, who's been there and done it all, you need to replace him with somebody who's very well capable of keeping you in the Championship. Now, it was a tough job anyway, because you look at Oxford's budget, you look at the size of the club. Um, it's never going to be easy anyway. So if they do not, if Oxford do not replace Rowett with anybody anywhere near the same level as Gary Rowett, they are team number 2 to go down because there is no chance they will stay up if they replace him with someone who has very little championship experience. Um, Now, an interesting one I'd like to see: will Liam Manning go back to Oxford? That's an interesting one.
Hmm.
I don't think he will, but that would be definitely a good way to redeem yourself after that Norwich stint. But yeah, because of that sacking, um, I can only say 3-0 Southampton.
Oh, it's a tricky one. Obviously, with Gary Rowett, I mean, we shouldn't use last season as an excuse, but when Rowett took over last season, Oxford were in the bottom three, and they ended up finishing 17th. Now, I know it's only 17th, but from an Oxford perspective, looking at it from the beginning of last season, you'd snap your hand off for 17th. I thought Rowett did a very good job for Oxford, getting a lot of getting the wins here and there in important places. And it's been... I think there's an expectation that it's a tough one for Oxford because they don't want second season syndrome, but with their budget, with expectations from other fans, I think it's tough to keep proving wrong every week. You have to work 110%. So this, whoever Oxford appoint, they need to get it spot on because obviously one of the lowest budgets in the league, and obviously no disrespect to them, but they are on the smaller end of the championship in terms of size as well. I feel like this could be one that could backfire on Oxford because Rowett was the type of manager to keep clubs in the division. Now you're removing that experience from the championship, and it's tough because with Liam Manning, maybe, but I don't see it. I feel like with Manning, he'd probably look higher up the championship, like mid-table maybe. But with Oxford, I'm not sure. I'm not sure he'd be up for a relegation battle. So it's tough to call. Now, in terms of the prediction, I have also gone for a Southampton win, 1-2. Now, on to Portsmouth versus QPR. A Boxing Day clash. Portsmouth last time around drew at Derby. QPR absolutely hammered Leicester. But Fratton Park, I feel like this score will be a lot closer. Is Portsmouth showing signs of getting stronger at Fratton Park, just like last season around this time? I feel like the next two home games in a row will decide that. It's tough to call. I feel like this is going to be going either way, but I've gone for a slight Portsmouth win, 2-1.
As far as I'm concerned, if John Mousinho and Colby Bishop are still at Portsmouth, I do not see them winning many games. And up against the QPR side, who have the goals in them, I think they'll want to just. I think they'll try too hard to keep this from going all balls up. So I'm just going to say a 0-0.
Alright, now on to Sheffield Wednesday versus Hull.
This could be the one. I say it every time. This could be the one for Wednesday, but it's probably not going to be. Let's be real. If I think the goal for the Owls is to just win a home game this season. Forget the rest. Once that happens, aim for 0 points. Because if you finish in the negatives, my God, that's a bad look, regardless of what's happened this season. So you've got to win a home game at some point. And while every chance is a good chance, I don't think this is the one. I'm going 0-2.
I think I'm going to have to agree with that exact scoreline, to be honest. Hull are flying at the moment. They're fourth in the table and are only a few points behind Middlesbrough now in second. And against the Sheffield Wednesday side, who concede tons of goals. I know they're in trouble, but they should be getting at least a couple more points. They've thrown quite a few. I don't see them getting anything from this, to be honest. As I've said, I agree with Liam's prediction here, 0-2. Alright, now on to Stoke versus Preston. Stoke last time around won. Preston last time around drew. From a Preston perspective, you'd probably think it's a poor result. And Stoke lost last time around to Watford. I think from both perspectives, Stoke and Preston, you'd probably think that's a poor performance, but the opportunity to bounce back is there. Now, because this is at the 365 Stadium, I think this will go Stoke's way just 1-0.
Well, I would say this any season, in fairness, but Stoke City against Preston North End only screams one scoreline to me, and I'm just going to go with my gut. I'm going to say 0-0.
Wouldn't be surprised. Now on to West Brom v Bristol City.
I very nearly backed Bristol City here, but though they did win on Saturday, God, I lost my days then. Um, I think it's away from home where they're still a little bit half and half. West Brom, I say every single video, Ryan Mason is not good enough. I appreciate the project, but it's the manager who, isn't doing the business for the home side. And I think he won't do the business managing West Brom to a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, it's getting a bit bleak now for West Brom. Looking at the table here, they are 16th now, and a defeat couldn't end them in 20th. Who would have thought that? Obviously, West Brom may be in trouble. If they lose this, I think Ryan Mason's time is up. I mean, we've said it a few times about Ryan Mason, but surely the pressure must be really piling now. I I get that the mid-table pack is very tight. Only a few points separating West Brom from, say, 11th Southampton. That's only 3 points ahead of them. But I just a team like Bristol City is a team that can show up away from home, and I think they will show up away from home here. I've gone 1-2. Alright, and to finish off with Wrexham versus Sheffield United. Wrexham last time around lost to Swansea, and Sheffield United won comfortably against Birmingham. And as the Sky Sports and the whatever, TNT Sports, they would say the FA Cup third round derby from a few seasons ago. If we all remember that. But honestly, it's just nonsense hype. I think this will be a draw. 1-1.
I think this is just still at the beginning end of the sticky patch that we all expected Wrexham to go through at some point this season. Um, I'm backing an informed Sheffield United side to win in North Wales by 2-1.
Alright, and now do you want to say your scorer of the week?
Well, I backed one. No, I didn't. I backed two sides to win or score 3 goals. They were both away sides. I feel like I often lean towards Ipswich, but I'm not. And I'm going towards Southampton again. Instead of Adam Armstrong, I'm going Finn Azaz.
Uh, I think I've avoided a Coventry player for a couple of weeks now, so I feel like now would be a time to include a Coventry player again. I've gone for the same pick I have said before. Brandon Thomas Asante is my scorer of the week. Now, on to. So, you will next see us before the following game, which is on the 29th. So, until then, it's a goodbye from me and a goodbye from Liam. See you later.